Hey guys, welcome back to Black Sheep Meadow. I'm Brent.
And I'm Amber.
And today we are going to start talking about some of our seed starts that we have going on. Amber started a bunch of seeds for tomatoes, peppers, marigolds, some sweet potatoes here. We're even going to start chitting and getting some of our regular potatoes ready for the garden. So we have y'all in one of our rooms. It's kind of unfinished. It's just a building on our property. We turned into like a sprout grow room.
That's not what it was intended for, but for this year, that's what we're using it for because it's use of space.
Temperature control.
It's temperature controlled. Yeah. It does get some natural light, but we can keep the temperature pretty steady in here.
We got one of these fancy grow lights right above us here, so we're all bright in the screen. We probably look a little funny. So.
Yeah, it probably looks a little funny.
But let's talk about what we got going on. We're in January 28th. We have typical winter dreary weather outside, so we haven't been able. We've been very fortunate so far this year with the weather. We've had a lot of good weekends, a lot of good weekdays for just really good work outside. We've managed to achieve a lot of things, get them all done outside for this time of year so far.
Yeah, but it looks like winter's here now. Mm-hmm. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be stretching it, trying to get the stuff we need done outside, and we're going to have to move a lot of things inside, which is why we're in here.
We're here.
So
let's talk about these. When did we start these seeds?
I started these on January 15th. So these are 2 weeks old. And they have done really, I am really surprised at how well they have all started.
I believe we had 60 total tomato plants.
There's 60 total tomato plants.
And all but one of them actually germinated, correct?
No. There was, I think, a total of 3 or 4 didn't germinate.
Okay.
But I replanted those today.
Okay.
So I figured it was still early enough in the year that still planting those today, we should still have plenty of time for them to germinate and everything.
We've had that luck with tomatoes in the past too. They can still be planted later, but they take a long time to get to a transplantable plant.
Right, and not that I need all 60 of them.
We've already got a few people that are going to give away the extras.
I really am wanting to get 60 of them now because I want to give some away to some people.
If y'all haven't seen, just go to a Home Depot or Lowe's or a local garden center. A little 4-inch plant once it becomes size, maybe 8 to 10 inches or so, they're getting $5 a piece for these. So, maybe we need to start our own seed store.
I don't know. That's a lot of stuff to go on. There's a stress involved there. So we've got that. We've got our sweet potatoes. My peppers that I actually planted a little bit before the tomatoes, they're finally sprouting. Mm-hmm. They're finally germinating.
So the peppers naturally take just a little bit longer anyways, right?
I know, but I was really scared there for a minute. But now they have all sprouted, and some of them are just barely, crusting the soil. Some of them are already, like this. I might be able to get y'all in closer in a minute and see, but they have all of them that I planted have started. I planted some marigolds. Those are doing really good. It's a first for me on starting. I told y'all in the probably the last video, maybe a couple back, I'm not big on doing a lot of flowers. So marigolds is one of those things that I'm trying to do from seed.
For our pollinators.
Mm-hmm. And they're really good companion plants for pest deterrents. So that's one of those. I'm still trying my thyme and my rosemary, and I need some help there.
What is this that's coming?
That's thyme. My thyme is I finally got some time to germinate. But the rosemary still hasn't germinated yet, and I really want those to do well. I love cooking with thyme and rosemary, but I've killed every one of them, whether I've started it or bought it. Every one of them I've killed, and I'm desperate to grow them, so I won't give up. But
they're there.
They're coming along.
I'd like to talk about the sweet potatoes for a second. First off, the sweet potatoes are actually not a potato at all.
Nope.
They are part of the morning glory family. They're still a tuber, but they're going to vine and grow up. And I want to show y'all how we started. These are just sweet potatoes that we purchased at the store. Yep, and I don't know, we put it in a mason jar, shove some, let's see if we can get it in there.
You might be able to see it if I put something behind it.
But you can see the roots maybe in the jar. Let me get y'all closer. You see the roots in the jar where the sweet potatoes going down? So basically what you do with the sweet potato is you just submerge the lower half. You got to look at the sweet potato, it's got a pointed end and it's got a real fat bottom. You put the fat bottom underneath, submerge it in water, it'll start to root. Off the top of that sweet potato, it'll start growing slips or little shoots up. As those shoots get to be, what, maybe 8 inches?
No, 6 inches.
6 inches, 6 to 8 inches.
6 inches, you can break them off really close to the sweet potato, and then you'll put them in a jar and let them root in a jar of water. Or I say jar. You put them in something with water and let them root, and then once they have roots, we can transplant them into their bed.
Very crucial. There's no more. You got to make sure there's no more frost for those. They're very delicate whenever it comes to the frost.
They're very delicate. And they're very sensitive to colder temperatures. But we have 3 of those going now, and I think they've all started growing roots already, which is good because sometimes you need to start multiples because not every one that you do will root like that. Correct. Sometimes they won't. They'll just rot.
We have 8 more sweet potatoes that we're going to start for slips. Off of each sweet potato, I think you could probably average 5 to 8, maybe even more.
Yeah, some of them will go crazy, and then some of them won't. But you don't know until you start going. So it's always better to have more. If you're trying to grow sweet potatoes, it's always better to have more going and have more slips than you need than try to go off of just one and hope that it's going to give you enough. We're actually going to make.
Probably tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. It's real crappy weather out. So if I can get in the shop tomorrow, I've got an idea for a device to hold the potatoes at the proper level and submerge them in water.
Instead of using all of my jars.
Let's see if I can't get a video just on that now.
Yeah, that might be a video.
It'll probably be a shorter video. Right. It'll be a video.
But, doing this, it's taking all of my jars, and jars are expensive, and they're getting hard to find. So I don't really want to use them all for sweet potatoes.
So let's take note, too. All of these trays that we have, I believe you purchased these online, right? This is a pretty heavy-duty plastic tray.
And they came with a little tray.
I don't know if the video can get it or not.
I talked about it in my video. They might be able to. I'll get some close-ups of these, but
so we have these in the lids of our famous black container tubs, our feed tubs. So they hold just the right amount of moisture to where the soil stays exactly
right. So and as these grow and as they need more water, I can fill this lid up with water, and it'll just wick into the trays instead of me trying to pour it on there. I can keep that full of water for them.
And I think as of right now, we have 60 tomato plants. There's 3 sweet potatoes, and then another 25 or so of pepper and marigold and herbs Beals planted. Mm-hmm. And I think right now, even in the past week, this alone probably consumed 3 gallons of water?
I don't know if it was 3.
Yeah.
Probably.
It was still pretty substantial.
Because there's still some in there. I'm going to say 2, at least 2.
Well, maybe 2.5 in the past week.
Well, I think.
Yeah, 2.5 gallons in the water in the past week.
Right. And they're still moist right now. They don't need water right now.
But what I want to monitor is how, as the plants progress and get larger, that amount of water is going to increase.
Yes, the amount of water will increase. The nutrients that the plant requires will increase, and we'll go over all that as these guys are getting bigger. I'm really excited about how many of them have flourished. So, but what we're really up here for...
We're going to talk about our potatoes. We're going to start chitting potatoes here.
Chitting potatoes. How many pounds of potatoes do we have?
We have, I believe it's either 97 or 98 pounds of potatoes. I've got from 3 different sources. Well, I ordered potatoes from 3 different sources, and 2 of the sources, the potatoes actually came from the same farm.
Right.
So, as a matter of fact, it actually has the same farmer's name on most of the bags of the seed potatoes.
So, I mean, if our potatoes don't do well, we know exactly which farm to go to.
Yeah, but we actually have a local feed store that has a local farm with local potatoes, and then the rest are picked up from a local Tractor Supply and a farming store that I found online. Unfortunately, the farming store that I found online, when the potatoes got here, they were from the exact same company or the same farm.
Same supplier.
Same supplier. And it's the Tractor Supply.
Right. So if you've ever bought seed potatoes, most of them will come in. Grab one of those paper bags. They'll come in, they usually come in some sort of bag, but whatever kind of bag they come in, they must always have this blue label.
Yeah, Minnesota probably requires this for for the potatoes to go across state line for exporting.
But it'll tell you exactly which farm, the type of potato and exactly which farm it came from and the farmer's name, which is kind of cool. I like knowing
Randy Schmidt, if you're out there, we're planting your potatoes.
We're planting your potatoes, Randy Schmidt.
Sabine, Minnesota.
From Sabine, Minnesota. So this is from TSC.
Yeah.
But we got another bag of, these are the
These are from Haas Tools. Let's get y'all down here. Let's take a look at these.
Okay, guys, there's not enough light, so I'm going to try to keep us in the light. But this is kind of our setup of how we have our potatoes in the lids.
So let's talk about chitting potatoes first off. What a chit actually is. If you look at a potato, this is a Noland red, and you will find right here is the stem. So when this potato originally grew underground, the plant, you got me there?
Yeah, hold on. Let's see if we can't make it
You
focus.
see the stem right here. This is where this potato originally grew from. This is like the umbilical coming into this potato.
Then the other end.
And then on the other end, you'll start seeing these eyes like this. This is where the sprouts or the shoots actually start coming off of the potato. And each one of these will grow. They're going to start looking for light. If this potato is still underground, it's trying to break the soil surface looking for light. So therefore, further growth can take place. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to chit these potatoes. I'm going to give you an example. This is also another Noland red potato, and you can see how this shoot is starting to come off. It's once again, it's looking for light. And what we're doing here is because our summers come really fast, it's going to get hot fast, by May or June or so, it'll probably start getting too hot for these plants to grow. What I'm looking for is I'm trying to start this potato as fast as I can indoors while it's still cold outside. And really, this sprout right here is probably just a little bit too big already. I'm not really concerned with that. It's still gonna grow just fine. But I'm trying to start them indoors, where as soon as I get them in the ground, this plant can take off and grow as fast and produce as much abundance as it possibly can. Now, as far as quantity, if y'all been watching our videos, y'all know that we are trying to produce 80% of all of our own food here on the homestead this year. And potatoes is probably going to be one of the biggest factors as far as I think we've got 34 different varieties of plant that we're planting this year. Potatoes is probably going to produce the most weight for us. So
Other than meat.
Other than meat, correct. But for every 1 pound of potato and a good yield, you should be able to yield right at 10 pounds. I always factor in the worst case scenario for everything, and I'm fully prepared that our potatoes are probably going to I'm planning on only 8 pounds per pound of potato planted. So we have, like I said, right at 100 pounds of potato. So we're going to start chitting them now. One of the other reasons that we actually chit them out, if Amber could turn it down right here, I'm leaving these potatoes in not direct light, but an indirect light here in our sprout room. And I'm actually going to leave these eyes in the up position. So I'm going to leave these sprouts up as we empty all these bags. But one of my reasons, let me put this potato up. We keep them all separated so we know what variety, where they came from. Everything's marked inside of a book. But one of the reasons...
Switch to this side so the light switch. Turn around.
So one of the reasons that I'm putting all these potatoes out on these container lids is if you look at this bag right here, this sprout off this potato is already trying to grow through this nylon. And whenever it comes time to plant, I don't want to rip this sprout off this potato. Get y'all in here. Right there. I'm trying not to rip that sprout off that potato as I pull it out of the bag. So if I can get to it beforehand, before it actually grows through. Once again, the reason it's growing through that nylon mesh is because it is looking for light. This is how the potato starts. So, and then one other thing too. So this potato it's actually a capsule of energy for all these sprouts. I know it's really popular for people to go and cut the potato and let it heal before you put it in the ground. Actually, I've got another, I'll probably try and show that here at the end. But they will cut the potato and they'll try and split the potato up so you have more shoots, you got more plants. I don't believe, pound for pound, that you're actually going to yield more potatoes that way. There's only so much energy in this initial capsule. There's only so much plant that it's going to support. So whenever I plant all my potatoes, I actually plant them whole. I don't like to cut them. And it actually, as you cut them too, it actually increases the risk for bacteria and fungal growth. Obviously, you just don't want that.
Are you going to leave all of those on there?
Yes, I will leave all of these sprouts on there. Because even if one doesn't make it, you can see we've got really 3 different size sprouts on this one already. So if one doesn't make it, the other 2 or even a single will make up for it. So
before you plant it, are you going to leave them?
Yeah, before I plant it, I'm going to leave all these sprouts in there. Those are the start of the plant coming out of the soil. That's going to be the leafy greens on top. So whenever I put these out here for chitting purposes, once again, leave all the eyes in the vertical position. You do not want to plant this potato upside down because now the sprout has to go down and turn right back up. You want to give this potato as much chance for a high possibility yield as possible. So we've got roughly 100 pounds to pull out of bags here. I guess Amber's going to put me on a slow-mo. We'll get back with y'all here in just a second. All right, guys, we have all of our seed potatoes put into the trays with the eyes pointing up in indirect light. We have about 3 weeks before we have to get these in the ground. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier or not. Hey, y'all heard it again. A few things when we were putting our potatoes out, I want to show you one of our Adirondack blue potatoes. Let's see if y'all can see the rotten spot on the potato right here. This capsule, this energy capsule for this potato, you can see how most of the eyes are on the opposite side of the potato. The rotten half is down here. I do not want to chance this rot affecting the rest of the potato, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half.
You also don't want the rot, the moisture from the rot getting on the other potatoes, correct?
Correct, yeah. You don't want the moisture from the rot getting on the other potatoes that are in the container.
These potatoes need to stay relatively dry.
Correct, they need to stay relatively dry, relatively cool, not in direct light. Indirect light, they're going to start to sprout. Over the next 3 weeks, the reason I like putting them in trays like this is over the next 3 weeks, I will be able to monitor. So if there is one that begins to rot or begins to fail, fungi, bacterial growth, whatever, I can remove it from the rest. So as you can see, we have our rot section on the Adirondack blue. With most of the eyes up here, I've cut, look at the meat of that potato. That is awesome. This has actually become one of our favorites.
As I said, this is probably one of my favorite potatoes. I love the flavor of them. I love them as mashed potatoes. I love them as, it's hard to sell. It's a really deep, they call it blue, but it's really purple. I call them purple potatoes. They are delicious, absolutely delicious. And it kind of trips people out if we have people over and I use a mix of potatoes and I throw one of those in there, like your mashed potatoes have like purple specks, or if you just do all these, you have purple mashed potatoes and it just looks kind of funny on your plate, but
so
delicious.
Over the next 3 weeks or so, this potato where I've cut it here will actually heal. It's going to scab over just like we would if we had a cut on our hand or whatever.
Hold on.
I'll get it for you here in just a second. It's actually on one of the German butterballs. But as I leave this potato, I can't leave the eyes up on it for the next couple of days. I'm going to leave the meat exposed to the air, the room in there, or the air in the room. Like I said, it's going to scab and begin to heal over. And for example, here is a German butterball potato here that I had to do the same thing with. You can see all the eyes on this side. And then I probably cut this, 3 to 4 days ago? Yeah. Something of that nature. It's scabbed over, it's healed, so in other words, it doesn't have to worry about bacteria or rot or anything like that. It's going to be protected whenever we plant it. So there they are. Amber will get you in. We keep a good variety for our anything from scallop potatoes to hash browns to French fries, baking potatoes, mashed potatoes. They all have a purpose.
You're a fan of potatoes.
Yeah. It's good. Like I said, they're going to serve, once again, too, this is another potato I took completely out of our mix up here. And the reason being is it's just too small. And the rotten half is where all the sprouts would be, where the eyes are. So this potato is not going to yield anything, and I don't want it to take out any of our other potatoes in the chitting process. So both of these are going to go to the compost, and they'll provide nutrients for potatoes next year. Let's get some good shots on these. Alrighty, guys. So what do we have? We said we had right at 100 pounds of potatoes. We've got 60 tomato plants, another 16 pepper plants, some marigolds.
Some thyme.
Thyme.
No rosemary yet.
It might get there. It took rosemary a while to pop up outside.
The
Sweet potatoes. I'm going to get a video probably tomorrow for y'all on that, on our new sweet potato sprouting. I really like. I think it was Amber's idea.
It is my idea. We'll see if it works.
Yeah. I'll make it happen.
I came up with an idea somehow about a way to grow sweet potatoes without having to use, or start sweet potatoes without having to use all of my jars. Like I said earlier, I'm tired of him stealing my jars. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll take you guys along with that.
That being said, this is what it takes to, at least hopefully what it takes to grow 80% of all your own food.
Yeah, this is
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Rain or shine.
Rain or shine. But it's worth it, I think, at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I like having or knowing where our food comes from. That's my biggest thing, is I like knowing where our food comes from. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let us know.
Leave a comment.
Are you guys doing something similar?
Mm-hmm.
If you guys know tricks on thyme or rosemary,
let us know.
I'd love to hear those. Because dang it, I want them so bad. But until then, we will do all the things.
Like, subscribe, ring the bell.
All the things.
Leave a comment. Share us. If y'all really, really want to do something for us, share us on a social media platform of any kind. So.
Until then, we will see you next time. Have a great one.